Bless all colleges and universities, and especially SLU and WashU, that they may be lively centers for sound learning, new discovery, and the pursuit of wisdom. And grant that those who teach and those who learn may find you to be the source of all truth. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. I was about to say it's a privilege for me to introduce to you, but I realize I don't need to do that. But I'm really happy to have Hopi Wells Jernigan with us today, who is certainly no stranger to this parish. But I think since she was last here, she has a new role as the chaplain for Rockwell House, which is the Episcopal Campus Ministry that serves SLU and WashU. So really happy to have Hopi here, and she's going to introduce a couple of students that she's brought with her so they can talk a little bit about their work and ministry there and how we are all part of that in our diocese, in the Episcopal Diocese of Missouri. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Can you all hear me? Okay. It's really nice to. Nope. Do I need to turn it on? How about now? Okay, great. It's really great to be here and to see you all, and it just feels like coming home. So thank you for the warm welcome. My son, Sam, who almost all of you know, said to me this morning, he said, "Tell the guy that owns this place that I say hi." And he was referring to David, but Luke said, "That's Jesus." So anyways, greetings from our whole family. And I love coming to you now as the chaplain of Rockwell House, which is the Episcopal Campus Ministry. And we work with WashU and SLU students. And I've got two students here with me today. Percy and Campbell are both juniors at WashU. And they're going to get a chance to tell you a little bit about their experience as students at Rockwell House. But first, I thought I would tell you just a little bit about the basics of who we are and what we do. Our house is, you can see it here, it's a single family home that is on Forsyth, walking distance to the campus. It's really close to Forsyth and Big Bend. So it's an easy walk for pretty much anyone who lives on or near campus. And the house is where we worship as a community. It's where we eat a couple meals every week. Nobody lives there, but it's where my office is. It's a home away from home for the students. They come any time of day or night. We have a fridge stocked with drinks and snacks, and there's plenty of places where they can plug in a computer or take a nap or watch a movie together. So we really want it to be a place that feels like a home when they are many of them are very far from their homes. Okay, so basically kind of our program is based around three main principles, which is worship, fellowship, and hospitality. We worship twice a week together. On Sunday evenings, we have Eucharist, either in the backyard if the weather's nice or in the living room. And we have about anywhere between 10, 15, sometimes up to 20 people. 4 of those are usually my family members, so they contribute a significant chunk of that. But we have a regular group of really dedicated students who come to basically everything, and that's about 10 or 11 students. So we worship Sunday nights, and then we follow that with a home-cooked meal, and we all sit down together and eat. Wednesday, we also have a big meal that we call the feast, and we end that meal by doing Compline together. So those are our two main worship services a week. We also do our own Holy Week services. We have a Christmas service in the middle of Advent because we like to celebrate Christmas together before everybody leaves to go home to celebrate Christmas with their own families. So we have lots of opportunities to pray together. Fellowship, I think, is one of the things that keeps students coming back, and if they walk in the door for the first time and meet the folks, the students there, it's the reason they continue to come. The time that the students spend together is priceless. I think that, and these guys will tell you a little bit more about their experience, but I do think that Rockwell House is a place where students can come and be completely themselves, feel that they're not being judged, that they don't have to do anything to fit in or to be welcomed. Many students who met at Rockwell, who met each other at Rockwell, are now sharing dorms or apartments together. They form such a close bond that extends very much into their lives outside of Rockwell House as well. And then the last part, which I think is essential to why we have a house, is hospitality. As I mentioned, we serve 2 meals a week at Rockwell House that's free to the students. I cook one of them. I cook every Wednesday. I test out recipes on the students that then I bring home to my own family. And then Sunday nights, we also have a home-cooked meal that my assistant cooks while I'm leading worship. And often we will sit down to eat at maybe 6:30, and we will not leave the table until 9:30 or 10 in the evening. It is a time that souls are fed. And it's a time where the discussions range broadly. And we're almost always laughing. And if we're not laughing, then we are having a serious discussion about all kinds of things. The students vary in their degrees and majors. And so we're always having fantastic perspectives that come to the table for discussion. We try to discuss at the beginning of each liturgical season kind of the meaning of the season, what we're going to do in terms of worship. We also have a Bible study on campus, on the WashU campus once a week. Right now we're working through learning about all of the women in the Bible, specifically the words they say in the Bible. But hospitality, in addition to our meals, is again what I mentioned earlier, which is that it's a home. It's a place where students can come and feel like they can, kick up their feet. Another thing that you might not think of right away is that we have a driveway with parking, which is free for the students to use. Parking at WashU is extremely expensive and difficult to find. So that we can offer a few parking spaces in our backyard, students can park there and then walk to class easily, is a nice thing to be able to offer. A lot of students also between classes will come over to the house, get some leftovers out of the fridge, have some lunch, sit down and do some work, and then head back to campus later. So it's a place to stop and rest, or it's a place to come and hang out for as long as they want. I think that's about it for the hospitality piece. I also want to mention SLU is an important part of our ministry also. It's harder for SLU students to get to our house because it's not walkable for them. However, we do have some regular SLU students who come, and I make an effort to be on the SLU campus as well, which is very meaningful, and their campus ministry finds it very important for me to be there as a female clergy person to show that students that those options are available to them, and that there's someone, because it's a Jesuit campus, that there's someone who can show an alternative side to ministry to them and can minister to them. We also offer Ashes to Go on both the WashU and SLU campus. I don't like calling it Ashes to Go. I like calling it Ashes for the Way. But and that's actually a really powerful experience because lots of students come up who haven't received Ashes in a long time. Many have come to us feeling like they were rejected by their own church or by their own faith community, who see us and feel welcomed. So we do reach a significant amount of students just through our presence on campus as well. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the students now. And at the end, we're also going to have time for questions. So definitely be thinking about what you want to ask any of us. First, I'm going to turn it over. I'm just going to put on a slide of some pictures of what we do. I'll turn it over first to Percy because you're next to me. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Percy. I'm a junior at WashU. I'm so glad to be here today talking about Rockwell because Rockwell is just an incredibly important part of my life. So my first year at WashU was not ideal. I was a freshman in the 2020 to 2021 school year when I came to St. Louis. I lived in a dorm. Um, but I didn't have any in-person classes, so I sat in my dorm room all day, not meeting anyone, pretty lonely. And Rockwell was this this burst of light in my life at that time because at that time Hopi wasn't with us, but Mother Beth was our priest, and she would, even when we couldn't eat together for our meals, like Hopi's been telling you about, Beth would come deliver food to everybody who wanted it that she had cooked herself. And we would go on Zoom and we would all eat this delicious home cooked meal together, even when we couldn't be together. And that was so meaningful to me because that was really the only place where I was meeting people, where I was starting to get a sense of community. And I think, like, I don't know if I would have made it through that whole year without Rockwell House. Um, and coming back for the past 2 years, which have been a little more normal, it has been so incredible to be part of this ministry as we go back to in-person things, to eating together, to worshiping together in person. I know that for myself, whenever I go through, like, when I've gone through the hardest times for myself personally, Rockwell is where I come. Rockwell is the place where if I can't take it anymore, I come to Rockwell and I grab some Cheez-Its and take a nap on the couch. And I know, and Hopi is always the person I will turn to. I think it's so powerful as for a campus ministry that, anybody who's part of our ministry has, like, I know that I always have at least one more adult person to turn to in St. Louis, because sometimes I really just need someone to talk through who has a little more perspective than I do, and Hopi has always been that person for me. And I think also the fellowship is so important. I think most of my closest friends at college are through Rockwell House, and I actually live with 2 other students from Rockwell House right now. And it's so wonderful having a community where I can just come and be totally myself. I know that no one's going to judge me and that I will be appreciated for what I bring and that I can appreciate everyone else for what they bring. I think just sitting around the table with all of my friends at Rockwell House, that is when I feel most relaxed in my life and also most at home. And Rockwell House is also a place that really helps students develop their faith. A lot of we come in from so many different backgrounds. For instance, I was not raised in the church. I started going to an Episcopal church in like late high school, and I didn't come into Rockwell House with a ton of like knowledge about what is this whole church thing. I'd had a couple of years at a parish, but Rockwell House has been so important in deepening my faith, in letting me question, in letting me explore without fear of judgment. I know that I can ask Hopi anything and that I will not be judged and that I will be affirmed and loved. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Campbell now.
Thanks, Percy. Hi, everyone. My name is Campbell Sharp. I am also a junior. I am from Chicago, and I was actually raised in the Episcopalian Church. But I was very resistant to youth ministry in high school. There wasn't very much Episcopalian ministry, mostly Catholic ministry around me, and there were a couple of things that I was uncomfortable with. So I wasn't really expecting to join a church and have a very spiritual college life. It's college. But I was in a similar situation with Percy in that COVID meant that everything was shut down, and Rockwell House was one of the few places that was still open because we had our house in the backyard. And I found that going to church services weekly really helped me to have a schedule to continue something that I'd been doing for the previous 18 years of my life. And then, after dinner, they're like, oh, well, why don't you come in on Wednesday? And then I was, there was one Wednesday, I was very hungry, and dining hall food is not it. So then I started coming on Wednesdays, and honestly, I don't think I've missed for such a long time because it is very much now a priority, because it's a space for me to turn off the academic side of my brain, to sit around a table and have really like a family style meal, which is something that I think everyone loses when they find themselves now alone in a new city for the first time. And I think what Percy said is very true about having a real adult who knows you and cares about you, not like an RA assigned to you, is so important. If I need to know, like, what's a good St. Louis doctor, or what's Ledoux? I didn't know what that was. And anything from, I need to find a post office to, okay, so there's this guy, is something that we talk about at Rockwell, that we are all very comfortable sharing, and it's really been a space where I can expand my faith in a way that I didn't expect to, because it's all built around community and people and personal connections. And you hear when you're coming into college, these are going to be the best 4 years of your life. Everyone has the friends. My dad has one friend, and it's his college roommate. And coming into Rockwell and being able to be here with all these people, it took me about, I don't know, half a church service, maybe, the first bit of a dinner, to realize that these are the people who, 20 years from now, when we have a reunion, I'm going to make sure that we all are still meeting together, and it will not be awkward. It will not be, we'll still be updated in people's lives. So really, Rockwell House is a wonderful space in which students are able to come find bits of home that they're missing and create a new, deeper kind of connection in St. Louis.
Thank you. I realized while you all were talking that I didn't mention that Rockwell House was actually the reason that I'm here in a collar standing in front of you all today, because I was a student at Rockwell at WashU from 2000 to 2004. And it was during my time as a student there that we actually bought the house on Forsyth and moved in and became a standalone campus ministry. And it was also during that time that I discerned a call to the priesthood. My chaplain at the time said, Hopi, I think you should be a priest. And I said, no way. And but then I never stopped thinking about it and realized that that's exactly what I wanted to be. And it was exactly that kind of community that I wanted to go on and lead one day. And so it is extremely special to me that now I get to be a part of Rockwell House as the chaplain, and to be able to continue to create an environment that's as special and as meaningful as Rockwell House is. So I do want to, before I get there, I did want to talk a little bit about the impact that Rockwell House has had in the 25 years that it's been in existence. So I am one of 11 alumni who have moved through the Rockwell House at different times that have gone on to ordained ministry or are currently at seminary. So in 25 years, there have been 11 of us who have felt a call to ministry while at Rockwell House. In addition to that, there are so many alums of Rockwell that are senior wardens, junior wardens, that are on their vestry, that are singing in choirs, that are lay leaders in their church. They're leading Sunday school. They're leading adult forums all over the country. We have some students around the world who still get in touch with us. But I really do believe that because they made their faith a priority in college, they have found a way to make a faith a priority as they have moved out into the world beyond college. And I think that the community and the depth in what we do is very much a part of why they do continue to give their lives to the church in the many ways that they do. Okay. David also asked me to talk a little bit about our house and our current situation that the house is in, which is that in October, we discovered that we had a critical electrical issue, that there was water coming into the electrical box to the house. So it was very critical, and I called the bishop the night that we found out and said, Bishop, here's what's happening. And he said, okay, tomorrow's going to be your last day in the house, and then you all need to move out. So we did that, and we realized the reason it was such a big issue also is because they could not fix it without going in and removing all of the knob and tube wiring in the entire house, which meant getting into every wall and ceiling. The house is about 100 years old. So it was a big project. So we basically took that opportunity to, the students and I sat down and talked about, okay, if we're going to be opening up walls and we're going to be putting in new electricity, what else does this house need? And it needs a lot. But we discerned together that this was actually an opportunity to dream rather than just to deal with emergency repairs. So we created a campaign called Let Your Light Shine, which, because electricity, we had to turn all the lights off. So that was our clever name. And we decided we needed to do renovations in 2 phases. And the first phase was the immediate phase. While the house was shut down, we were lucky enough to move into a shared space with our neighbors, which is the Lutheran campus ministry next door. And it was a fantastic time sharing space with them. The first phase was, of course, replacing all of the electrical, putting in overhead lights, which many of the rooms had not had before. We also utilized that time to put in an HVAC system in the entire house. We were relying on window air conditioner units and radiators in the winter for heat, and now all those giant radiators are gone. It feels like we've doubled our space in every room because of it. And then the third thing was, if we were going to put in an HVAC system, we needed energy efficient windows. So we replaced all of the windows in the whole house, and now we have brand new energy efficient windows that open and close all the way. And we've actually completed phase 1, and we were able to move back into the house at the end of January, or maybe beginning of February. However, none of the walls are painted, and we still have lots of work to do because we're hoping to start phase 2 as soon as the semester ends. And phase 2 is going to be an overhaul of our kitchen and then a redesign of our backyard. One of the things that the students mentioned is that during COVID, we started worshiping outside, and that has remained a priority even though we can be inside again. The students love having chapel outside, and we love being able to use our yard, having outdoor meals, worship outside. And one of the things that prevents us from doing that more is the fact that our driveway floods regularly. Like anytime it rains, it floods because there's a garage that is downhill of everything else and just holds the water there in the driveway. And we also don't really need a garage. We're looking to kind of totally redesign the backyard so that we can have a permanent outdoor chapel, as well as more green space for students to come and lay in the hammock or to have meals outside, to study outside, etc. So our kitchen overhaul, this is the current kitchen. This is where we cook our big meals that feed 12 to 15 people. It is, what you see there is all the counter space we have. So cooking there for a large group is very difficult, and the cabinets, as you can see, don't close. Many of them we have a hard time opening. And this is the rendering we have for our new kitchen, which is going to basically triple our counter space because the perspective here, there's going to be a whole other side that has additional counters, and we're going to double our storage capacity. Again, we use this kitchen for cooking, but also the students use it to prepare their own meals, to eat leftovers. For some of our big celebrations like Easter and Thanksgiving, they all are using the kitchen to cook meals to contribute to our Easter brunch or our Thanksgiving meal. Our second is our backyard redesign, which this side is what is currently there, and this is what we are hoping that it will become, with parking in the back, a permanent outdoor chapel, and then additional green space for students to, this is our fire pit. This is like one of the favorite things about the house is having a campfire. Basically any night that we can. We might have one tonight even because the weather's supposed to be really nice. So these are our dreams for the space. Again, the existence of the house and the property is one of the reasons that the ministry is so strong. Rockwell House is known nationally as one of the standout campus ministries in the country. And it's because we have this regular group of students that come in, that find a home here, and then continue on in the life of the church. So that's where we are in terms of our renovation process. We have our phase 2 fundraising goal was met. The diocese gave us a really amazing grant, and we got also some grants from other local churches. From an amazing amount of alumni have contributed so far. I think 35% of all the gifts we received have come from people who have been at Rockwell House at one time or another. And we're still raising money for phase 2. We're 2/3 of the way there. So we're getting there. We're really hopeful, though, because we keep telling the students, like, when you come back in the fall, there's going to be a brand new kitchen and these walls are going to be painted, and this is going to be a really comfortable place for us to continue our ministry. So we are working on that phase now. I do have a QR code for the site where you can give. I can also send that to you, David, and we can circulate. But we are still in the middle of the campaign. But this is our Easter service last year. This is actually in the garage that's currently falling down. We worshiped in the garage when we needed to. But anyways, again, this is the most life-giving and joyful ministry. I think I have the best job in the church, I believe. And I think I just feel lucky to be a part of the life of so many students who come through. And like they said, to be an adult who has their back all the time, that's not grading their papers, that's not evaluating them in any way, but is there to say, what do you need? I'm here for you, and how can I help you? Do we have some time for questions? I don't even know. Okay, great. Questions? Yep. Oh, yeah. Microphone's coming.
Okay. You mentioned that, the students could park behind the house. And I'm wondering what phase 2 is going to look like insofar as their parking resources are going to be.
Sure. So this is what we're dreaming it's going to look like. So the parking would be in the back. Currently, we can get about 4 cars in our driveway. It would be about the same. Again, I drew this. It's not necessarily to scale. This is just like my attempt at kind of putting on paper. So we're going to be working with folks who are going to help us design a layout so that we can continue to get 4 cars in the space.
All right. I didn't notice those parking spaces up there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you mentioned St. Louis University is also one of the institutions you reach out to. What percentage of your students that you have come out are from SLU?
I would say of our 10 regular students, we've got right now 1 or 2 are from SLU. Yeah, and the ones we do have cars, so they can drive, and we're working on continuing to build not only more ways for students to get to us, but for us to get to them, because it's, when you're a college student, we need to be where they are rather than trying lots of different ways to get them to us. So it's a kind of a combination of having more presence on the SLU campus and then also finding more ways to get them to us.
Am I on? Hopi, is the garage going to still be there, or are you going to rebuild the garage, and is it going to be a place for worship, or what is in your plan for that?
The plan is for the garage to go away. It has not been a usable space. There's no permit that allows us to actually do anything other than store stuff in there. Worshiping in there has not been technically approved. So the plan is
for it to disappear so that we can have more green space. Part of that is having the outdoor chapel so that we can worship outside and not have to constantly move chairs around to do so, but we have permanent furniture in place to be able to have outdoor worship. And then in the winters, and in the summer, if it's like ridiculously hot, we will be inside and we use our own space inside to worship. And depending on what the worship service is, we arrange the chairs in different ways. We like the flexibility actually to have the worship meet the style of the liturgy. So, for example, on Ash Wednesday, we actually had our worship in my office, which was a former bedroom in the house, but it's a very intimate space where we could all be together in a way that felt very different than like a traditional Eucharist where everybody's in rows and there's an altar at the front. So that indoor flexibility is a really great option to have.
Could you use gifts of furniture, or is there a personal way that people can contribute to your home?
Absolutely. We could definitely use gifts of furniture. All of the furniture in the house currently is IKEA furniture that was purchased about 22 years ago. So it's literally on its last leg, many of the pieces. So we could definitely use gifts of furniture. We're also putting together an Amazon wish list of kitchen appliances, certain things that we need around the house that, and again, we can get that circulated to you all as well. Other students are willing to answer questions too, so feel free.
Hopi, can you say a little bit about two things. One is what other campus ministries are there? And then how is it that you all go about sharing the news about Rockwell House and getting students to hopefully engage?
Thank you. There are, both at SLU and WashU, there are a lot of campus ministries. WashU has a huge presence with Hillel and Chabad. The Chabad is actually right across the street from us. That's the Orthodox Jewish community. We have a fantastic relationship with them as our neighbors. We are one of the smaller campus ministries on campus. Again, we're the Episcopal Church. We're not a huge denomination, and we work with college students. So it's a small group of students who want to come and be with us on a Sunday and make that a priority. The Catholic Student Center at WashU is very big and very well supported. SLU has campus ministry built into their program as a university. That being said, they, as I said earlier, they love having us around. And they want us, my Lutheran colleague, Pastor Tina and I, they like having us on campus as women clergy. So, and to your second question, how do we get the good news out? It's through lots of different ways. The best way we have is for our students to invite their friends, which is often how you all get newcomers to church as well. Just bring your friends, bring people who you know could use a community like this. That's our number one way. I also make a huge effort to be present on campus once a week in my collar, sitting in the lunchroom, hanging out, so that students know that I'm there. I also try to speak on panels when invited. We try to do events on campus every once in a while to talk a little bit more about who we are. We are one of the few campus ministries that's welcoming of LGBTQ students, and that is outright in our welcome. There are many campus ministries that say all are welcome, but they don't say much more than that. And we're one of the few Christian ministries that says we love you exactly as you are, and we want you to be a part of our beloved community where you will feel loved and welcomed also. So that's a huge part of our outreach too, and we do have a large number of our students are part of the LGBTQ community, and many of them found us because of the way that we have shared our welcome on campus.
Hopi, do you all reach out to Fontbonne?
We, I would say no. I mean, no, I have not directly reached out to Fontbonne. I know that my colleague, Pastor Tina, who's next door, has done a little bit of work with Fontbonne. It's so tiny, but it's, you know, it's worth kind of getting our name out there as well, and it's a good reminder.
Just one other thing. Hopi, would you say a little bit about how this is a ministry of the diocese? Also,
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to flip back to this picture because it's just more fun to look at. The campus ministry is a huge priority of the diocese, and it's always been a part of the budget, the diocesan budget, to fund Rockwell House as well as ministries at Mizzou, in Rolla, in Kirksville, because the bishop and the previous bishop and the previous bishop, Bishop Rockwell, who helped get us the house and was a huge, huge proponent of campus ministry. They knew how important it is in the lives of college students and how important campus ministry is in the life of the church. So my salary and our program are funded by the diocese. So diocesan council is what approves our budget every year. The house renovations and all house costs are things that we have to raise in addition to that on our own. But without the support of the diocese, we could not exist. It's the diocese of Missouri has just been such a huge support of youth ministry and campus ministry for decades. And again, it's one of the reasons that I'm here standing before you all in a caller today.
Thank you so much for being here. Percy,
Thank
Campbell,
you.
thank you all for taking. We probably ought to thank the two of you more than anybody because it's Sunday morning and you had to get up really early, right? But anyway, thank you all. Blessings.
Thank you so much.
And if you all, can you all stay for just a few minutes? If,
Yeah,
if anybody wants to engage or has any questions or anything, they'll be here for just a few minutes. Thank you all for being part of this.